Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Written material intended to be read. The teacher assigned new readings. A public instance of reciting or repeating, from memory, something prepared in advance. A datum about some physical state that is presented to a user by a meter or similar instrument. He could not believe the meter reading. A mental representation of the meaning or significance of something. The act of measuring with meters or similar instruments. He has a job meter reading for the gas company. A city on the River Thames in Berkshire in southern England. A particular interpretation or performance. On that reading it was an insult. The cognitive process of understanding a written linguistic message. His main reading was detective stories. Written material intended to be read. He bought some reading material at the airport. A public instance of reciting or repeating, from memory, something prepared in advance. The act of giving an account describing incidents or a course of events. A detailed account or description of something. He was forced to listen to a recital of his many shortcomings. A detailed statement giving facts and figures. His wife gave a recital of his infidelities. Performance of music or dance, especially by soloists. A regularly scheduled session as part of a course of study. Systematic training by multiple repetitions. A public instance of reciting or repeating, from memory, something prepared in advance. The program included songs and recitations of well-loved poems. Written matter that is recited from memory. Something that serves to indicate or suggest. An indication of foul play. A datum about some physical state that is presented to a user by a meter or similar instrument. The barometer gave clear indications of an approaching storm. The act of indicating or pointing out by name. Medicine. A reason to prescribe a drug or perform a procedure. The presence of bacterial infection was an indication for the use of antibiotics. Something, as a course of action, that is indicated as expedient or necessary. There were indications that it was time to leave. A datum about some physical state that is presented to a user by a meter or similar instrument. He could not believe the meter reading. The act of measuring with meters or similar instruments. He has a job meter reading for the gas company. An explanation of something that is not immediately obvious. The edict was subject to many interpretations. The act of interpreting something as expressed in an artistic performance. A mental representation of the meaning or significance of something. An explanation that results from interpreting something. The report included his interpretation of the forensic evidence. A written communication in a second language having the same meaning as the written communication in a first language. A written work, as a novel, that has been recast in a new form. A mental representation of the meaning or significance of something. Something a little different from others of the same type. An experimental version of the night fighter. An interpretation of a matter from a particular viewpoint. His version of the fight was different from mine. Manual turning of a fetus in the uterus, usually to aid delivery. Not having or not capable of producing colors. The movie was in black and white. A black and white photograph or slide. Communication by means of written symbols, either printed or handwritten. Communication by means of written symbols, either printed or handwritten. Communication by means of written symbols, either printed or handwritten. Delivering an address to a public audience. Delivering an address to a public audience. The utterance of intelligible speech. Capable of or involving speech or speaking. Human beings, the speaking animals. Delivering an address to a public audience. People came to see the candidates and hear the speechmaking. Delivering an address to a public audience. An item of factual information derived from measurement or research. An item of factual information derived from measurement or research. A presentation to the mind in the form of an idea or image. A presentation to the mind in the form of an idea or image. A presentation to the mind in the form of an idea or image. The state of serving as an official and authorized delegate or agent. A performance of a play. A body of legislators that serve in behalf of some constituency. A congressional vacancy occurred in the representation from California. A creation that is a visual or tangible rendering of someone or something. A factual statement made by one party in order to induce another party to enter into a contract. The sales contract contains several representations by the vendor. An activity that stands as an equivalent of something or results in an equivalent. A statement of facts and reasons made in appealing or protesting. Certain representations were made concerning police brutality. The act of representing, standing in for someone or some group and speaking with authority in their behalf. The right of being represented by delegates who have a voice in some legislative body. A statute in draft before it becomes law. How much there is or how many there are of something that you can quantify. A basis for comparison. A reference point against which other things can be evaluated. They set the measure for all subsequent work. Any maneuver made as part of progress toward a goal. The situation called for strong measures. Determine the measurements of something or somebody, take measurements of. The act or process of assigning numbers to phenomena according to a rule. The measurements were carefully done. Express as a number or measure or quantity. Prosody. The accent in a metrical foot of verse. Measuring instrument having a sequence of marks at regular intervals. Used as a reference in making measurements. Musical notation for a repeating pattern of musical beats. Evaluate or estimate the nature, quality, ability, extent, or significance of. A container of some standard capacity that is used to obtain fixed amounts of a substance. Have certain dimensions. This table surfaces measures 20 inches by 36 inches. The act or process of assigning numbers to phenomena according to a rule. The measurements were carefully done. The act or process of assigning numbers to phenomena according to a rule. His mental measurings proved remarkably accurate. The act or process of assigning numbers to phenomena according to a rule. The cognitive processes involved in producing and understanding linguistic communication. A process involved in human language. A systematic means of communicating by the use of sounds or conventional symbols. He taught foreign languages. Language, communication by word of mouth. He uttered harsh language. A system of words used to name things in a particular discipline. The language of sociology. The mental faculty or power of vocal communication. Language sets Homo sapiens apart from all other animals. The cognitive processes involved in producing and understanding linguistic communication. He didn't have the language to express his feelings. The text of a popular song or musical comedy number. The song uses colloquial language. Reading materials, documents, written information, that you must read and deal with but that you think are extremely boring. Reading materials, documents, written information, that you must read and deal with but that you think are extremely boring. Recitation of a speech from memory with studied gestures and intonation as an exercise in elocution or rhetoric. Vehement oratory. A reading of a point in time as given by a clock. A speedometer reading for the momentary rate of travel. The ratio of the distance traveled, in miles, to the time spent traveling, in hours.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.